It all began when the grade 2 and grade 3 girls discovered my English board had a newly constructed voting box. The last voting box was disassembled about a year ago, but I've brought democracy back to my school. Being the tool of peaceful and civilized society, it immediately started a furious battle. In the current election, the stakes couldn't be higher. The topic of debate: what is the best Christmas present? Arming themselves with writing utensils, the girls went to war, inscribing their votes and piling them into the voting box in full force. Things got heated when the second and third grade girls caught each other voting. Not to be outmaneuvered, both grades redoubled their democratic gusto. When I prepared little paper slips for the box, I thought, no way the students will ever use this much. They hardly ever interact with my English board. I'll wait a month and there'll only be a single vote from me. Man, was I wrong. The battle became so intense, the girls stormed the teacher's room, asking me for more paper to help them vote for their holly jolly cause. I was incredulous, but I'm always down for the effort, so I cut out more paper. They happily took the new slips and continued voting like maniacs. One girl voted for Santa, which is kind of insane. That's like wishing for more wishes. However, Santa doesn't seem to be a hot button item, so I'm not sure if he'll pull out on top. Another girl voted for Smile, which I thought was kinda sweet, but also probably not high on the list of winning candidates. I'll let you know the results of the voting war next video. I'm glad to teach both English and democracy. Speaking of obsessions and classroom craziness, Kahoot has consumed all of my English classes. If you're not in the know, Kahoot is a free online website where you can make fun little quizzes. Students connect from their iPads or laptops and compete head-to-head against each other. In fact, I suffered from success with it. I made Kahoot and learning English so much fun, my teachers had to restrict its usage because students in all grades were literally begging for Kahoot quizzes. When my mother visited Japan, I introduced her to my students using a Kahoot quiz, and ever since that day, my junior high and elementary students have become addicted. It's so much fun for them. Every class they're asking me if I made a Kahoot, but I don't think it's a waste of education time or learning. Kahoot quizzes are genuine quizzes, and they have encouraged students to study harder at English, so they can be at the top of the leaderboard and beat their friends. I have a Kahoot related story. A group of boys banded together and all named themselves King. They all chose a specific character icon, a pumpkin with a wizard hat. Then they battled it out with the entire rest of the class until their little king characters all dominated the leaderboard. Other students tried in vain to stop them, but the king crew had practiced English so hard, and mind you, these boys aren't even the best at English, that they managed to climb their way to the top. It was hilarious. There are also instances of students having very creative nicknames for their characters, like students masquerading as me in Kahoot. However, there were some nicknames I'm not at liberty to share in this video, which is something you gotta look out for. For English as a second language activity, Kahoot is an incredibly fun way to do pop quizzes with students, and to teach them. A lot of my time as a teacher is now spent crafting Kahoots. The best one I ever made was where students submitted their own quiz questions to me, and I turned their questions into a Kahoot. Kahoot is a hoot. This fall, we had another legendary Kuroshio BBQ. My Japanese supervisor is a specialist in cooking ahijo, which is an olive oil heavy, garlic infused Italian dish. It's delicious and also a food fit to destroy vampires, but it has no effect on me other than being yummy and filling me up. There's another fascinating dish cooked that night, a Japanese one. It's called kinpura. It's made with carrots and cognac jelly as its main ingredients, and it's seasoned with soy sauce, dashi, red pepper, and pepper. In my mind, I thought that cognac was a fish paste that was jellified, but it's made from a vegetable that looks like a sweet potato. All this time, I was a little bit terrified of the stuff because I thought it was fish jelly, but now I know it's just potato jelly. I feel slightly better about it. It still doesn't look super appetizing, but I respect it as a food and I don't mind eating it. Anyway, I enjoyed the barbecue and broke out my guitar as per usual. and provided some background music. I was honored to take a small group of Jets to the Eno Town Paper Museum, and we were lucky enough to make homemade paper lanterns. The process was surprisingly simple and streamlined, and is foolproof. I'm sure I could find a way to ruin it, but somehow even my paper turned out good. You take a wooden mesh and dip it into a slurry of paper water and then pull it up. You sift it and then let the water drain. Afterwards, you flip it upside down and press it gently and the water drains. You let the paper sit and dry, which only takes about half an hour, while you peruse the gift shop. Perusing the gift shop is a very important step that you can't skip. Then, what you're left with is a thick, sturdy, hard-to-rip piece of homemade paper. We took this, cut out our lantern shapes, and then folded them together. We were left with beautiful, simple paper lanterns. A bright way to start off the holiday season. My spare time has been mostly dedicated to marathon training. In February 2024, I will run the Kochi Ryoma Marathon, a full 42-kilometer marathon. I've been training relentlessly. I have also been eating healthy relentlessly. When I tell people I run as a hobby now, they laugh, but dude, running is not an easy sport. Runners are tough people. Long distance runs are brutal. It takes a lot of mental endurance to control yourself and push yourself to go hard and far. It's also painful. A guy has to be careful not to hurt himself. Injuries are a real thing when you push yourself so hard. I've also started to experience knee pain, so I had to lower the amount I was running and switch over to leg weight training and cycling until my knee recovers. I'm slowly building my kilometers back up, but at my fastest, I was running 10 kilometers every day. I've ran 3 half marathons. Those are hard but doable. I'm hoping to reach the point where I can run half marathons again. I've been hyping myself up with gym edits. Those are fun to make.
We're going to find Danny's secret. So that's okay. This is behind the scenes, I guess. I'm not allowed to use English in the actual vlog with Mr. Danny Japani. So the funniest thing happened to me in class the other day. It was kind of gratifying. It was definitely like a redemption moment, and it's been like a year in the making, so I felt pretty good about myself. Maybe this is definitely a humble brag, but I've earned it, so I'll brag anyway. Is one of the students that would always make fun of my weight in class, and he would always tell me like nice body, and he was one of the ones that would like poke me in the stomach and would tell me nice body like every single day. And I mean, he was right and his friends were right. I was and still am pretty out of shape, definitely overweight, but I was way worse back then. Anyway, so like this last week in class, I was walking around the class like I normally do, and as I was walking by his desk, he like reaches out, and sometimes this is like a weird thing that you'll encounter as like a Caucasian male or a male who has hairy forearms, is sometimes like the Japanese kids will like pet your arm to feel your hair, because like they and their parents and like a bunch of Japanese people don't have so much like body hair. So, and like my forearms they're not like, I'm not like Wolfman, but you know, I got some hair there. Anyway, so he reached out and like just pet my forearm. I'm like, whatever, I don't give a shit. Kids are weird. But then he like, he like grabbed like the corner of my t-shirt and like lifted up a little bit. His eyes go just like as wide as saucers. He's like, oh, big muscles. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, nice body. And I don't know, that was really gratifying for me, because now when he said it, it wasn't so much of like an insult and like a dig at me. He was now saying nice body, because like genuinely I've transformed myself enough where that's no longer an insult. It's now a compliment. And I think that's something that's really powerful that you can do in your life, is take those things that are negative about you, take your weaknesses and turn those things into strengths. And so I've taken that weakness of mine, my physical appearance, but also my health, and I've turned that into one of my strengths. So, be bold.
Wow, 2 years, huh? I'll be real, this year has been one of the hardest of my life, but also one of the most rewarding. I've grown and matured a lot as a person. I've stuck to my guns in a few critical moments and protected the people I cared for and protected the values I stand for. I followed my heart, took risks, and stood up for what is meaningful and real. I was bold this year, and it hurt me in all sorts of ways, but I was damn bold. But I wasn't so good at protecting myself. I let my discipline slip, and I fell back into my old habits. It was very uncomfortable to be that old version of Tanner again. He was weak, uninspired, and very self-indulgent. During that time, I was exhausted. I would go home, fall into bed, be barely able to bring myself to even eat. I hated every minute of that, and I hated myself for being so defeated and so weak. Instead of giving up, I got up and started running again, and I've been moving ever since. My purpose for being in Japan hasn't changed, even though I have changed. I came to Japan to challenge myself, to become a good teacher, and to make friends. Going into the next year, those are still my goals. Everything on my wall of treasures is either a mark of accomplishment, gratitude, or defeat. Every day it reminds me why I'm fighting, who I'm fighting for, and what will happen if I fail. Setbacks. I was rejected from a coach EPA position. My car engine was replaced twice. I was audited by the Canada Revenue Agency, and I failed to study sufficiently for the JLPT and ended up failing. I also gave up on taiko drumming and instead substituted it with kickboxing. Also, I didn't travel as much as I wanted to. My accomplishments. My mother joined my ESL class. That was awesome. I expanded my area of solo exploration to Kochi Prefecture, Ehime, and Hiroshima. I participated in 5 small local marathons and finished each. I became a regional advisor for my region in Japan. My partner and I ran 3 successful events. I made 1 promotional video, and I took on AJET responsibilities in Kochi Prefecture. My partner and I ran 2 successful events. I made 2 promotional videos. I lost 75 pounds of weight. This required daily eating and exercise discipline. I ran my first 10K and 20K. I climbed 5 separate mountains. The Bold Basan gained 164 new subscribers with 24 videos and 34 YouTube shorts. I did my first YouTube collaboration with the Danny Japani YouTube channel. I learned how to play basic guitar chords and tab. I can play and sing more than 20 songs, and I performed for friends and students. I danced in a massive Yosakoi festival in Kochi City. I wrote and published 2 letters in the Kochi Family Newsletter. I wrote an updated description for AJET, the Kochi Reservoir. I wrote 2 articles and published 1 for Claire and the JET program. That's all for now. Take care and be bold.